Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Purple Insider. Matthew Coller here, along with former Minnesota Viking Jeremiah Sirles here for Tuesday Morning Left Guard. And Jeremiah, the topic du jour here in the nation of Roger Goodell's National Football League is Sam Darnold, Sam Darnold's future. And Wes Phillips, the Vikings offensive coordinator, even said that Sam has already proven the doubters wrong and the rest will take care of itself, which I think that that's very accurate, actually. But I was thinking about Darnold, and as we try to project where he's headed for this year, can they really compete for a Super Bowl? What do we need to see from him down the stretch? And then his case for the future. Something came into my mind, and that is Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. And I wondered to myself, how much better is Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison than the receivers that Sam Darnold was playing with before? And you know what my research found?
What did
a
your
lot
research find? I mean, we all knew the Jets were bad, but I don't know if we knew they were this bad. That Sam Darnold, he failed before he even got the pencil in his hand to take the test.
Or they made him take it with no pencil at all. So I was looking through, and I'm just poking through. All right, who was his receivers in his first year? Who was receivers in his second year? Did he ever have anybody kind of like this? And I knew that Robbie Anderson and Jamison Crowder had played for that. Robbie chosen. I don't know if he had been chosen at that point or not, but Jamison Crowder. So I'm pulling it up and I'm looking at his targets. All right, Crowder, he was more of a slot guy. Le'Veon Bell, Demaryius Thomas was a pretty good player, but was aged at that point. And then one of the leading receiving targets of Sam Darnold in the year 2019 was someone named Vincent Smith, and it was spelled with a Y, Vyncint. Okay. This person got 31 targets. He played only 4 years in the NFL out of Limestone University. And apparently he's from Bavaria. This is who he was throwing to in his past.
I think Terrell Pryor was sprinkled in there too, right?
Yes.
The old converted quarterback to converted running quarterback to wide receiver that never really panned out.
That was in his rookie season, yes.
Oh my God. I mean, we talk about it all the time. These young quarterbacks coming into the league, it's really easy for us to go, oh, they suck. But football's a team game. And if you don't have guys that can create separation, that can run good crisp routes, you're not going to succeed. Right? It's impossible to succeed as a young quarterback without help around you. And that's what happens when you're really good in college. You go to a really bad team. It's just how it works. It's the nature of the business. Sometimes you just got to escape hell before you can figure out life.
Do you know where Limestone University is?
Limestone.
Vincent Smith was the only football player ever to come from Limestone University to make the NFL.
Was he drafted?
And all respect to Mr. Smith for making it from Bavaria to Limestone to the NFL. I think that Jordan Addison's probably a little better, but you got any guesses?
Can you give me a region? Can I get a region of the United States, or is that give me a northern or southern of the midline of the United States?
Okay, I just discovered that Jericho Cotchery is their head coach currently of Limestone University.
Okay.
The Limestone Saints are from the south.
South. I'm gonna go somewhere in Alabama.
Okay, it's a good guess. It's South Carolina. So they just make up universities to have football teams. They got so many kids that want to play. But yeah, that's kind of the point, though, is even when we go through his leading receivers, Le'Veon Bell was another one that he was throwing to all the time, who maybe didn't have.
He was washed at that point. He'd taken a year off from the Steelers.
That is the blunt way to put it. Brashad Perriman was his second leading receiver in 2020. Denzel Mims, Jeff Smith, Chris Hogan, former Buffalo Bill Chris Hogan, Frank Gore was on the team. I mean,
none of these dudes are in the league anymore, right? And that was 4 years ago. Like, that wasn't like, oh, back in 2015 when he was throwing to these guys. Like, no one that you just named I don't think is on an NFL roster right now.
I
I really don't. I know Mims was on the Broncos for a little bit, maybe 2 years ago. He might still be, but I don't think he plays much. But like none of those dudes are starters in the NFL right now.
The 2021 Panthers did have DJ Moore, who
Yes.
played really well when Sam Darnold threw him the football, but then Robbie Chosen was his second leading receiver, and that's some sort of wild stat line. He was 53 for 110 throwing to Robbie Chosen that year. And the next receiver was Tommy Tremble, who is he still in the league? Yes.
Yes,
He is
Tommy
still in the league.
Tommy's
Yes.
in the league.
Yes. So there you go.
He's a possession receiver, special teamer. I mean, he's not a starter on anyone's lineup. No one has him as their fantasy receiver right now.
Oh, and former CFLer Brandon Zylstra also had 25 targets from him. It's just different, man. It's just different. And as I was watching the tape back, there's a catch from Jordan Addison on 42-yard throw after it's 21-21, and Darnold's getting a little bit of heat, and he just is like, whatever, he's down there somewhere. He shakes off the guy. There's a lot of contact. He makes the catch. You just go, none of those were getting caught outside of DJ Moore for this guy's whole career. And so as we assess, well, can he keep doing it? Is he going to turn back to the old Sam? Not unless these guys get traded to the Jets. I mean, I think they're going to stay here a while. I think what we're seeing is that Sam Darnold, when he has these things around him, can do special things. That's the whole point. And sorry to Vincent Smith, we made fun of your college.
Yeah, it's to the point of he was a third overall pick for a reason. He has talent. Talent doesn't just disappear. Now, talent will diminish over time as Father Time goes, but the quarterback position is kind of the one that defies that because of the development it takes to play that position. You can actually become better as you get older. You don't have the arm strength, but you can get better with your decision making, with your anticipation, with understanding defense. And when you aren't having success as a young player like Sam didn't have, you're not really developing that other part of your game because you're just worried about, can I just get the ball to someone? Like, can someone just catch this oblong thing that I'm throwing to them, please? It's not as much of, we got that now. Hey, let's learn about this coverage scheme, or let's learn about how to pick up the blitzes. You're just so focused on throw, catch. Sam this year, even when you go back and look at him early, he just looks so much calmer and so much more confident. And I think that can go all the way back to, I remember you texting me during training camp being like, dude, Sam can throw the piss out of this football, right? And just getting that confidence through training camp of, man, these dudes are actually going to throw these and catch these dang things down the throw. All right, KOC, give me more. Give me more, give me more, give me more. And now you're seeing the synergy between KOC and Sam Darnold, and the synergy between Jefferson and Addison and Darnold. Everything is clicking for the Minnesota Vikings offense right now.
So the question is, over the final 4 games of this season, what do you need to see from Sam Darnold to buy into him going into the playoffs and going toe-to-toe with any of the National Football Conference's best clubs?
The same as that he's been doing. I don't need to see any more. You know, I think that could be the trap that he may fall into, is he feels like I need to keep pressing. Right? I got to keep pressing. I got to keep pace with the Josh Allens. I got to keep pace with the Patrick Mahomes and the Lamar Jacksons. Dude, you don't. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep doing what you're doing. You're playing at, I mean, we could say a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now, top 7, maybe somewhere in there. That's great. You don't need to be top 2. You don't, and you probably won't be, because those guys are gods at some point, right? Like, I mean, Josh Allen literally did one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen in my life on Sunday night. So just continue what you're doing, because the only thing that's going to stop you is if you start to regress in the turnovers, if you start to regress in your decision making because you're pressing. I think if he can just hit cruising altitude right now and just maintain this high level of play that he's been doing, I think he can go toe-to-toe with anyone in the NFL.
I think so too. These last 4 weeks have been an extended stretch of great quarterback play. And really the first 4 weeks was an extended stretch of great quarterback play. And bumps in the road happen to every great quarterback in the league, including Josh Allen, including Patrick Mahomes. Everybody has had a bad game here or there. Even historically, if you look at all the great quarterbacks, it usually is, how often can you be somewhere between good and excellent is what separates the good quarterbacks. And the fact that he has 100+ quarterback rating in 11 of these 13 games is one, it's kind of wild because my expectation for Sam Darnold was going to be, even through those training camp practices, that some would be mind-blowing. This guy is a megastar. And then other ones, Sam was a little bit off today, and you got a little shaken up by Brian Flores' defense in practice, and then it wasn't quite the same. But his consistency now on a week-to-week basis after the Jacksonville game, and there was this assumption that it was just going to go up and down and up and down. If he can finish with what? 3 of the final 4 games, 2 of the final 4 games, because the other part of this is when you talk about the playoffs is what is your upside? This was always my issue with the previous quarterback, is that even when he played well, it wasn't good enough. He played well against the New York Giants in that playoff game. They scored 20 points that day. It just wasn't good enough. And with Sam Darnold, when he plays at his absolute best, look at the Chicago game, look at the Falcons game. I mean, you are talking about the top end of playmaking, tight window throws, deep passes, everything that is the highest level of play. And I like to think about mind experiments all the time. And I was thinking about this morning, that if the Buffalo Bills had not picked Josh Allen and they had picked Sam Darnold, and think about what Sean McDermott made that organization into, a stable franchise that was in complete disarray when he got there after Rex Ryan. And they put Josh Allen in and they developed him, and then they got him receivers, they got him linemen, and they got him a defense, they got him a coordinator, Brian Daboll. Like, is Sam Darnold just Josh Allen? Like, I don't know, but it makes you wonder if he ended up going to Baltimore and was backing up Flacco and didn't have to get in right away, and they developed him in Baltimore and gave him all the things that team has. Like, would he have just ended up here anyway? I don't know, but I'm starting to think so.
I want to say yes, but I don't think the KOC effect could be overstated, because would he maybe have the talent to end up here? Probably, right? The talent is obviously on display for all to see. Did he have the right people in his life at the right time to unlock that talent? I think is the better question to ask. Was Daboll, I got to watch what he did with Josh, and it was excellent. That the way he worked hand in hand in developing Josh Allen into what he is. Now, Daboll leaves and Josh just continued on that trajectory moving forward there. You talk about some of the young quarterbacks that have had a lot of success, like the people around them from a coaching aspect, from a mentor aspect, have all been great. And so if he had KOC, or what did KOC find in him to unlock that next level potential? Because he is the quarterback whisperer, and he's going to be a very expensive coach to keep for the Minnesota Vikings next year. But if I'm the Wilfs, I don't care. You write your number. I'm going to slide this over to you. You write it down, and then I'm just going to put it on this check and hand it right back to you. Right? He has done such a tremendous job, and it cannot be overstated of what he's done for Sam Darnold in his career to unlock whatever this next level Sam Darnold we have seen is.
So the quarterback whisperer thing is very interesting to me, because in some ways, I think yes, of course, like, look at the way that he used his own experiences and then goes out and get Josh McCown, who had shared experiences, but played a lot more, and they can work off each other. So KOC can't be in the quarterback room all the time. He needs somebody that can see the things that he sees as a former quarterback. I also think that the mentality approach, this was really telling to me, that when O'Connell came out of that Jacksonville game, he, I'm sure, was aware. The whole world was going, see, that's why you don't sign Sam Darnold. He throws a pick. But Kevin took it as, this is an opportunity to reset with Sam and get him back to what was working early in the season. And in the middle of the year, it's hard to refocus your fundamentals and the fundamentals of the scheme. And yet that's what they took time to do that week coming out of it, because it was almost like he had to see it go bad to know, all right, we can't just, keep running it out there the same way. We have to keep updating it all the time to make it play that way. And to have that sort of fix it attitude as a coach, as opposed to, what are you thinking? What are you doing? Why did you do that? What is wrong with you? Why did you make a mistake? You're ruining the game. Like that, there is and I know who that sounds like, but there is just you saw the old Hard Knocks. I told you this quarterback runs. You get my point. it's not just his positivity. I think it's his always, let's fix it. Let's fix it. Let's fix it together. You and I are going to work on this and we're going to fix it together. That really resonates well with his quarterbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's the former player. And I love when more former players get into coaching roles, get into mentorship roles because coaches coach and they've been coaches their entire lives, right? I mean, some of the greatest coaches never played the actual game of football. And I'm not taking anything away from those guys because they're brilliant and they put in so much work. But there's just something about, hey man, I put my hand in the dirt too. I know what happened here and it sucks. Like I get it. Guess what? I got picked up by Fletcher Cox too. It's not fun. Right? That's not a good time, buddy. I think that that can't be overstated from a relationship standpoint of common ground. And especially at the quarterback position where you are the focal point of every conversation, right? We haven't had a podcast once this year where we haven't talked about Sam Darnold, just like we didn't have one where we didn't talk about Kirk Cousins. And every podcast across the country, the quarterback play is the number one focal point because that is the number one reason why you win or lose football games. And to be able to come to someone and say, hey, I see what happened here. Here's how I saw it. Tell me how you saw it. Okay, so that's how you saw it. Here's how I saw it. How should we move forward from this? That cannot that little conversation there is so different than a coach that's like, I've coached this shit for 20 years and I've never seen someone throw this ball before, right? I've heard that. I've heard that exact quote from coaches before. I don't coach this. I don't want to see this. Like that type of stuff is not helpful for a lot of people. And I don't think that's Kevin O'Connell. I don't think that's Josh McCown. I don't think that's anyone. I mean, Chris Cooper's a former offensive lineman who's the line coach. They have a lot of former player voices in that building and coaching roles. And I think that's a big reason why you can see that pivot and you can see that back to fundamentals piece because the coach can just walk in and go, nope, we're not doing this anymore. Here's what we're getting back to because this is how you do it as a player. And everyone has that immediate respect for them.
Also, Keenan McCardle, one of the best wide receiver
Yeah.
coaches in the league. And I think his work with Jordan Addison is showing up, how he's getting off the line of scrimmage and fighting through contact. That was the biggest criticism I had of him last year, was that he was getting stifled at the line of scrimmage sometimes when they got up on him. And the other thing was that playing through contact to catch the football is just something you have to do in the NFL. If the refs called everything, then, they would just be throwing flags all day. And the defensive backs know that. And there's been a couple times where he's being interfered with as he's making the catch. The Chicago one was egregious.
Yeah.
The same thing is kind of happening in the 42-yarder that he had, but increasing his strength, figuring out how to play through that contact, that also stems back to the wide receiver coach, and drafting him stems back to the wide receiver coach, because Keenan McCardle, being an absolute freak when he played at tracking the football, what do you think he loves the most? Guys who track the football. Jordan Addison. That's why they didn't pick Quentin Johnston, because he was an underneath guy with stone hands who runs after the catch. Yeah, right. They picked the guy who is the matrix when it comes to catching the football and tracking it in the air. I mean, even the first touchdown, it's way underthrown because Darnold's arm gets hit and he just stops on a dime. The corners go flying all over the place and just brings it in. The ease in which he catches the ball, it looks like the ball weighs nothing when it gets to him. That also stems back to Keenan McCardle and his work. So I think part of it's like when we talk about the whisperer, it's like, okay, number 18 whispers a lot of this, and Addison is whispering a lot of this, and his coaching staff is doing it, and his attitude is part of it. And they have 140 quarterback rating on play action. So it's kind of everything about the environment that he's created that has allowed Sam Darnold to be this. And I don't see that changing over the final 4 weeks. And then into the future, I don't know. But all these things are going to be here with Sam Darnold. The point is that I'm looking at this each week and going, I think this is just awesome quarterback play. I don't know. Sometimes the football gods throw you a twist that you didn't expect.
Yeah, and it's just everyone feeling like Sam has turned into that type of quarterback that you feel like you can win any game with him, right? I remember when I had Phillip Rivers was as a rookie, you never went into a game thinking, man, we're not going to win this game, because you knew that 17 could just do it. Like you just knew he could do it. He's been doing it for years. Same thing I think rings true with guys like Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts at times, right? The team has a belief that this dude's playing so well right now, it doesn't really matter what's happening out here. He's going to keep us in it and give us a chance to win at the end of the year, at the end of the game. Sam Darnold initially, that was not the feeling. Right? It was more of a question mark. Like, can he do it? Can he get us to 20 points? Can he do all this? And we've graduated past that point to where the whole team's going, I need to play my best, because if Sam keeps playing like this, we can blow teams out. We can win games close. We can do any type of way we need to win football games. As long as Sam keeps playing like this, we're going to give ourselves a chance. And it just elevates everyone else on the football field, from the offense to the defense to the special teams. When your quarterback's playing up here, it's your job to match him. Right. And it's kind of vice versa. If your quarterback has a slump, you feel like you have to play better to get him out of it. But if you're chasing your quarterback, that's where you see the great teams start to really make runs.
There might be a way to evaluate this of how many games did you win in a given season because of your quarterback? Like, this is why QB wins has to be considered. It's not the lone stat, just like interceptions or touchdowns isn't the lone stat. There's no one stat. But Peyton Manning won 12 games or more every single year. How? Because even when everybody else didn't play well, you could win because of the quarterback. I think that the last 3 games are all you won because of the quarterback. They screwed up Chicago and almost gave that thing away. He went and won the game. Arizona, they struggled for a lot of that game. They couldn't get Arizona off the field. He went and won that game. And then the same thing here, where they're going back and forth with Kirk. They get a turnover. They take advantage of it. They put up a touchdown. He's executing in the red zone because they refuse to run the football into the end zone and would rather triple reverse or put Aaron Jones at quarterback, or I don't know, hand off to the freaking kicker or something. Like, they just anything outside of passing with Darnold does not work in the red zone. So it's all been on his shoulders, and he's done that. And that's, to me, the separator. Like, if you can win because of your quarterback when the rest of the team doesn't play that well on a given day, that's exceptional type of quarterback play.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And you heard Aikman last night talk about it when he was talking about Joe Burrow, right? Like, hey, Zach Taylor just feels like he can't take the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands. That's why they don't run the football. First of all, I'm an offensive lineman. I hate that, right? Like, I get it, dude. He's really good, but can we please just like push on these guys a little bit instead of getting pushed on for 40 plays a game? But to your point of quarterback wins, watching Atlanta on the flip side, you see the opposite effect. They can't run the football, which blows my mind with Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, and that offensive line. So it's falling more onto Kirk. Kirk is losing them games, right? Kirk is losing them games. And look at the Raiders, right? Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, like losing those games. It's really a fine line. It's a very fine line of that quarterback winning the game, quarterback losing the game. And there's few that can consistently live on the win the game side. And those are the guys you kind of talk about, Pro Bowlers, all pro type of years, year in and year out, seeing them at the top of their divisional race, seeing them at the top of the playoff run. 8 months ago, I would have told you you're high as a kite. You told me Sam Darnold would be on that side, right? Like, yeah, I mean, 6 wins, Vegas said, right? Yeah, I'll probably take the under, right? We were all in that weird space. It's kind of just a fun ride that we've strapped ourselves into of, let's see where this thing goes. And there is still that fear in the back of every Vikings mind of this is going to come crashing, burning from the heavens at any moment. But I just don't think Sam has given me a reason to think that is what's going to happen. Like, Sam has proven me week in and week out that he's going to continue to get better. He's going to continue to ride this train and go forward. And I'm really happy for him as a former player and seeing what he's gone through. I'm just really happy for him as a guy and as a player. And he's going to set himself up for a great contract next year.
Okay, I need you to break something down for me, because the signature play of his season is the 52-yard touchdown to Justin Jefferson. That is the one where 10 years from now, somebody says, hey, remember that season Sam Darnold went crazy? Yeah, remember that touchdown where everyone ran at him at once and then he had to dodge everybody and run away and throw a touchdown? Yeah. The quarterbacking on that was incredible. The offensive lining on that was not so good. These last couple weeks, they've done these overload blitzes, and the Vikings have struggled to sort these things out. Explain to me what should have happened on that play and how they're supposed to handle when teams are sending too many guys to one side.
Yeah, so what happened on that play is they lined up in a double mug look up front, right? They had 2 linebackers standing in both A gaps, and then Simmons, I believe he was the strong safety at the time, was standing outside the left tackle. So there's actually 4 to one side, 3 to the other side. What happens is they bail the defensive end out over Cam Robinson, and they run a 3-man game where the 3 technique runs out into Cam Robinson, the linebacker standing on Garrett Bradbury's left runs into Blake Blandel, and then at a very lightning quick speed, they wrap Justin Simmons all the way around the center. And so what has to happen there is it needs to be a 3-way bump. Those are really hard to get done at very quick times, because when they line up like that, you expect maybe 4 off a side or 3 off a side. Very rarely do you see the safety wrap up the A gap from that position. So in an ideal world, they go bump, 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 and they slide everything back and they slam the door there, and then Sam can sit there in the pocket. What happened was the defensive end kind of rubbed Hawkinson as he was getting out. So Cam couldn't really make that decision of, is that guy still rushing or is he dropping? And that split second is all it takes for a guy that runs 4.5, 4.4 to wrap quickly. So they don't end up getting a bump. Dalton Reisner doesn't get back in time because he gets bumped back from O'Neal. So he has a true free runner coming up the A gap that is a very good football player, has been playing at a high level for a long time. And he just does a great job of sidestepping him, climbing the pocket, not doing what he was doing earlier in the year where he tries to do the spin out Lamar, come out the backside. Like, that doesn't work unless you run 4.4 like Lamar does. Climbs the pocket to the left, feels the escape, climbs back out to the right. Bradbury's got in front of him, and he actually has Naylor like 10 yards in front of him for just a nice, easy dumping catch. Or he could have ran for probably 20 yards with Garrett Bradbury as the lead blocker. This dude just went straight, I'm a hunter, right? Predator, right? Brr, brr, the sign, and then there's 18 and just launches it. Beautiful quarterback play, stuff that a 26-year-old mobile, healthy quarterback can do. And just keeping the eyes downfield, not panicking. I watched it. He had 2 hands on the ball as he was climbing through the pocket. It was just a great job. The line did the best they could. I don't really fault the line for that one. That's a really, really hard pickup. But again, if you're Kirk, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, one of those guys that can't really move, you turtle, you fall down because you can't escape it. But Sam just beautifully escaped out of there.
Well, and that was the thing is with the other guy on the other sideline, you go, this was the reason that you have to move on, because there's no way that he's escaping that type of play. I didn't realize that the defensive end actually dropped out on that play because I thought it was more guys to that side. But I feel like Arizona was doing that where they were sending more guys to one side. And I think Atlanta copied that on a handful of plays, and they did struggle at times to be able to block that thing up. And I think that this is what we're going to see going forward, which is teams saying, all right, let's make him make that play over and over again. But the thing is, somebody did an article, I think it was maybe The Ringer, about Sam Darnold as a basketball player and how prolific he was. And there's highlights out there that you can watch, and he's a baller. And you watch his highlight reel from early in his career, and it's that like that's not it's really the short stuff and the routine plays that were the problem when he was throwing to Vincent Smith. It wasn't so much
Limestone's finest.
It was not go Limestone, go Saints. It was not the baller plays. And so now there's this combination of a routine dig route that's 12 yards down the field looking for enough yards to get you in field goal position that he converts. And if you can eliminate the sacks, they have the 4th highest sack percentage. This is where they need to figure that out. And I guess my question is, now, is this just a new adjustment for the line? Is some of it the fact that Reiser's never played right guard before, Robinson's still figuring it out, that opponents are just saying, we're going to make you sort this all out? And honestly, the backfield has not been good at pass protection when CJ's not there. I don't know. Like, Cam Akers had a really good career of blocking, but when he's in there, it seems like they say, all right, we're going to make that guy pick somebody up, because he has not been as effective this year at doing it. So I think if they figure this out, then they're going to be a serious problem for anyone, because then somebody's open and Darnold's going to find him.
Yeah, and because that's the that's the decision that I've watched the last 2 weeks D coordinators make against KOC and Sam Darnold is they have too many weapons to only rush 4 and let him sit back there and find the open receiver. The best bet we have is let's try to get to his feet, move him off his spot. But the problem is the really talented receivers now in one-on-one coverage, right? So you have to kind of make a decision here, because I don't think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I'm trying to remember as I watched the tape back, when they only rushed 4, they never really got home. It was a lot on these blitzes and these stunts and these movement, and you're exactly right. Teams are blitzing the back against the Vikings because Aaron Jones, Cam Akers have not been very good in blitz pickup. Of a true one-on-one, square the guy up in the hole and butt the pads and then mirror him. They're getting crease, they're getting edge, which is we're making him move side to side, which then is no lineman. You don't have eyes in the back of your head. You don't realize Sam Darnold's right there, and you turn around, there's a QB hit, right? I do think they're going to continue to pressure more. I think they're going to continue to pressure more, especially interiorly. I think we're going to see a lot of games between Reisner, Bradbury, and Brandel because those guys have not been passing stuff off in the middle very well at all, whether it's a linebacker pick and a DN loop or a TT or like this one, down, around. Those type of things just require very quick communication, very quick of getting off, snapping guys with your hands. That's been a weak point the last 2 weeks. Teams are going to continue to press and push on that weak point until we feel like we got it figured out.
And this was so Bradbury between weeks 8 and 13 had been in the top 10 in pass protection. And then this one was the he grades in the 20s by PFF game. And so my assumption was, Grady Jarrett must have just got him. I can't see everything at once in the stadium, so I got to go look at the data. And it really wasn't. It was really the linebacker that they kept sending, and they couldn't sort it out. And then one time he got beat by Goldman, who's just one of those big, strong beasts. Brian O'Neill shockingly got beat around the edge one time. That's not something that'll continue to happen. That was just a weird play. But sorting out those guys in the middle, that guy Wilson for the Cardinals, they kept sending him. He would just stand there. I'm just a linebacker. Everyone, oh no, I'm blitzing. And they didn't see him, didn't identify it fast enough, didn't pick him up. This is something that they have to be able to do in order to negate this, because you can't be asking your quarterback to make these incredible scramble plays all the time, or it's going to be an issue. Nonetheless, 42 points, the best offensive output of the Kevin O'Connell era. Now they're going to face Chicago, Seattle, Green Bay, Detroit. I think that these 4 games down the stretch here are going to tell us a lot about who they are, particularly because I don't think the defense is ever going back to, hey, we're just going to shut everybody out and get a bunch of sacks, and that's going to be it. They're just too worn down. They're too banged up. It's going to have to be the offense's show.
Yeah, it's going to be a complete script flip from early part of the year. I mean, I still think this defense is going to continue to rush the passer and get well, but the bend but don't break, we're going to let them into the red zone, not score type of thing is, I think, a thing of the past, to all your points. But it's good because I think this offense needs a little bit of pressure on them to feel like I got to go out and score every single time. They kind of play with that edge now. The last 3 weeks, it was, hey, it is now our turn to shoulder the load, right? For the last couple of years, the Vikings defense has kind of wore this badge of honor of like, hey, we will win us the football games. It's flipped a little bit. And every defense in the NFL is built to rush the passer with a lead. Right? That's how you build your defense is, hey, let's get a 2-possession lead, pin the ears back, go get them, boys. I believe this offense is good enough to do that, to allow to have guys, because guys like Grenard can be that game ender, right? You talk about guys like Von Miller in their career, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt. You hear the commentators all the time, go end the game with a sack, go end the game with a sack fumble. Grenard has turned into that type of player for us. And so if you can get a lead on this off with our offense and go put some pressure on this team to turn into a drop back, you talk about the guys coming up. The Bears are a disaster. Braxton Jones, Darnell Wright having really tough years protecting the quarterback. Seattle has finally got their 2 tackles back, right? Abe Lucas and Charles Cross, but they've had their fair share of issues of protection. Green Bay got after this week as a passer team. And then obviously Detroit is Detroit, but I don't know if that game's going to matter. I hope it does. I really do. I hope that's like a type of playoff environment. But you look at all these teams across the board and you're going, I think we can score on these teams, and we just have to make sure we can try and maintain a lead to let our defense go, because I don't think we get in a track meet with these teams. That's the fear of, you start trying to get in a track meet and a shootout with a Green Bay, kind of leaves things up to chance, and who has the ball at the end is going to win it. You don't really want to fall into that trap of track meet type mentality.
Is there something that you see for why veteran quarterbacks seem to be able to pick apart the Vikings, especially in the middle of the field? Because all the quarterbacks that have done well against them They're all veterans, except for, Caleb Williams, of course, was scrambling around like a madman and made some great plays in that game. Overall, it wasn't a great game for Caleb Williams, though. Kyler Murray had a lot of good moments. Stafford, Goff, and had Kirk not thrown one of the most crazy passes you're going to see right to Josh. Maybe he thought he was his old teammate. I don't know. He threw it right to him. But then, I mean, the floaty ball that just goes way over Kyle Pitts, who can't play. I was watching the tape back. I'm like, I don't know, guys. Maybe you just stay away from tight ends in the top 10.
He's first off the bus. I mean, you want him. Wow, he looks the part. But then you compare and contrast the like mugshot pictures of the combine pictures and their skivvies of Kyle Pitts and Brock Bowers, and you're like, oh, give me that big guy, right? But then you look at production, like, oh, maybe not. Maybe I'll take this weird looking balding white man.
Hey, as someone who's got a hat on right now for a reason. Shout out to Brock Bowers and all those a part of the struggle. It's not gone yet, but I see where it's headed. So, but yes, Pitts was open on that play and Kirk just throws it over him. If he doesn't do that though, they might score. If he just throws a rocket like Kirk 2019 would have just stepped into one and thrown it to Pitts and he runs in for a touchdown or something. I mean, we're talking about a catastrophic defensive performance in that game, and it wasn't great against the Cardinals. They've got to be able to get off the field at some point. What can they do here?
There's not much they can do because they've built their defense on being an attack-heavy blitz defense. When you blitz, that means linebackers are coming. That means that there's this gap between the linebackers and the safeties. And that's where teams, and Matthew Stafford was really the first one to exploit this with Puka Nacua and those guys over the middle of these shallow crosses, these deep in cuts of, hey, if they're going to send these guys and you see Blake Cashman or Van Ginkel up near the line of scrimmage, just go stand behind them and just wait, because they're also not these down the field killer shots. It's kind of death by paper cut as you're going down the field. But that's just taking what the defense gives them. And I think there's a little bit of Brian Flores' philosophy of eventually they'll make a mistake. Eventually, if I keep coming after them, someone's going to miss the blitz protection. Someone's going to win. He's going to overthrow a ball. We're going to get to him one time. I think there is a little bit of that philosophy of, hey, keep everything in front of you, nothing deep, and eventually they'll screw it up. As you play better teams with more established things, especially in the playoffs, it's a dangerous game to play. Because if you eventually go, man, we can't get home, the blitzes aren't landing, this O-line's playing really good, we haven't been able to stop anything, now you're kind of scrambling in-game to make an adjustment instead of trying to figure out what's the best way to stop them throughout the week.
I think they need Ivan Pace back. They have not resolved that problem. There's no backup Ivan Pace. Jamin Davis has gotten after the passer a couple times. He's just such a unique player. He pinballs off of guards. They can't stop him. He runs over running backs. He's so fast getting into the backfield that it causes a lot of problems, but it also allows Blake Cashman to be in coverage, where now you're kind of relying on Cashman a lot. Grugier Hill is a veteran special teamer at this point trying to help out. Josh Metellus is a 210-pound guy trying to play linebacker. It's just a lot for them to ask of those guys. And Jamin Davis just got here and was on another team's practice squad. I mean, this is just not a solution. So when he comes back, they have done well in every game that they've had both of those guys. It's just that they haven't had both of those guys a lot. I don't know if that's the complete solution. I'm going to throw this out there. Also, I would like to see Fabian Moreau keep playing because he was good in this game. He was on his man. They did not target him. When Kirk looked his way, he had his guy covered, and maybe just mix and match. Give them a little more man coverage opportunity when Stephon Gilmore comes back, because that was something they didn't do a lot early in the year. But I think we've gotten to the point where we know if this defense is going to help you out, it's going to be sacks and it's going to be interceptions, causing pressures to cause mistakes, punching the ball out, and then the offense is going to have to take advantage. So let me ask you this before we get to love to see it, hate to see it. Let's just say, and if you need a pen and pad to answer this, feel free to grab one. Let's just say that I was going to give you $1,000. I actually did this last week. I sent you $1,000.
You did.
And let's say you had to use that to bet on the teams going to the Super Bowl.
Ooh,
okay. So a bet to make the Super Bowl. How would you distribute your $1,000 bets on which teams were going to reach the Super Bowl.
I'm taking my first 500 and I'm putting it on the Lions.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm going 500 on the Lions because I am very confident they are the best team in the NFL. The only reason I'm a little nervous would be the defense. But that offense, you talk about an offense that cannot be stopped, it seems. They have had no hitch in the giddy up. Even when they throw 5 interceptions, they still find ways to win football games. So I'm gonna go 500 on the Lions. I'm gonna put 100 on the Chiefs just because of number 15. I don't love that. I'm gonna go another 100 on the Bills. Then I'm gonna go. I got 300 left. Yeah, let's go 100 on the Eagles. 100 on the Vikes, and then I'll go 50 on Green Bay and 50 on Pittsburgh.
Okay, I like it. So the distribution here says that you think that the Lions far and away are a favorite to reach the Super Bowl.
Yes.
But everybody else is the dice roll.
Yes.
Now, here we may have to circle back to this. If Detroit goes to Buffalo, let's just say, and Josh Allen and that offense lights them up, and their defense looks really banged up, will that change your dollar figure for how much you would distribute for those NFC teams?
No, I don't think it would.
Okay.
Mostly just because of just the consistency in which Detroit has played with this year.
Mhm.
Now, if they get blown out, right, that's a conversation. But if it's like an LA Bills game and they fall just short at the end because it was 54-49 and that whole piece there, I'll still feel really confident in the fact that not every team has Josh Allen, right? Not every team has that crazy. Now, you look at some of these other teams I mentioned, right? Vikes, you got the Philly, who's just a different animal with the way they run the football. But, the Lions for me have just been so consistent week in and week out that it's hard for me to, even if they drop a game here, no one wins them all. It's tough to win them all in the NFL. If you drop one to a Super Bowl contender football team in a close game, it doesn't change how I feel about you.
So I was thinking about Philly as I was seeing some of the drama that's going on there.
Dude.
They're one of the best teams in the league, and yet they've got drama. I was thinking about something that Matt Daniels said to us a couple of years ago about Philly. He said the key against Philadelphia is if you can get on them a little bit early, their own fans will turn on them. And then that just ramps up the pressure so much. And this feels fragile with them because of that. But all of these teams feel fragile in some way or another. The Vikings feel that way because the defense is kind of teetering. And with Sam Darnold, there still isn't this humongous body of work, and maybe it could come apart at some point. With the Lions, it feels fragile to me because their defense is just not, it's just
So
right. It's not healthy. They don't have any players left. And so they have to outscore everybody. But you know what, when you're trying to outscore everyone, you should punt more, I've heard. But I don't know. I don't follow that logic. You know what? Dan Campbell is like 26-7 or something the last 2 years. He's probably doing it wrong, right? Just like KOC's probably calling all the wrong plays.
For sure.
Right? It's actually you at home who's calling better plays than
freaking
him.
Kirk Herbstreit. They can't be kicking it.
Just,
go back to college, Kirk. Shut up.
Oh boy. It's just, I mean, it's classic football stuff to second guess. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The Packers, like Jordan Love's kind of up and down at times, and their defense isn't perfect. All these teams, and then the Eagles have this vibe problem. They probably have the most talented team, but their coach can't keep them together, and their wide receiver seems to hate their quarterback for some reason, no matter how much they win. And I think if we're going vibes Super Bowl, like the Vikings have a chance, man. Like who's the most healthy and the most together? It is actually the Vikings.
It is. Yeah, you're far and away, and we're getting to the part of December now where you're really going to start to see a separation. I think in this group of teams that I just mentioned, right? I mean, you have the teams that are out of it. Guys are playing for the love of the game and the love of their job, and then you have this group of guys that are playing for home seeding, playoff seeding, and you're going to see a separation. But the vibes are high in Egan right now. The vibes are shaky in Orchard Park after dropping one to the Stafford team there. The other vibes, if we're going off vibes, the vibes in Pittsburgh right now are good.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh is humming. right now. Russell Wilson's getting his life back together. Najee Harris, that defense is obviously still one of the best. I mean, if we had to pick a vibe Super Bowl right now, it's probably Vikings Pittsburgh.
Oh, Mike Tomlin knows what he's doing. Again, I'm shocked. I'm stunned. Why are they going to Russell Wilson? Are they insane? I don't know. Maybe Mike Tomlin knows how to coach a football team. I don't. Sometimes it's just like we got to talk about stuff. So second guess. What do we do? What's the rundown today? Who can second guess a coach? Like, I don't know. We're bored. But Mike Tomlin's a guy I wouldn't second guess too often. So love to see it. Hate to see it. I just love to see the committee not including Alabama. You lose to Vandy and you lose to Oklahoma. You don't belong there. I don't care what your name says. I don't care if you have not only the Alabama fan base, but the Yankees fan base, the Cowboys fan base, the Duke basketball fan base, all want Bama in. That is a joke from like 10 years ago, but I'll still tell it. Good job. Good job by them. The rest of it, I don't know. Whatever. I mean, we can all fight, but no Bama was right.
I want to see Penn State on the blue turf, man. I think that would be so funny. Or the Vols. Either one of those blue blood programs, right? Like the godfathers of college football. Take your ass to Boise, Idaho, my friends, and enjoy that blue turf. Right? I think that's going to be what a great story for Boise. What a great story for the city. I just hope they don't get boat raced. Oregon got screwed. They got screwed. Georgia's path is so clear, right? It's so clear. Oregon's going, we're the number one team in the country, and we got to play either Ohio State, like again, and then Texas, and like all this stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I love that the committee got it right, though. I love that the only three-loss team in the playoff is the ACC champion, right? Everyone else, hey, I don't care what your strength of schedule is, got to win the games. You got to win them. You have to win the games. That's the ultimate stat in it. So I thought the committee did a nice job there. My hate to see it. North Carolina, what are we doing with Bill Belichick trying to come to college football? This man is not cool. He's not charismatic. He's not someone that's going to inspire a 19, 17-year-old kid that's going to sit in his office and go, how are you going to make me a better person, coach? I'll get you off the InstaFace and we're going to read the manual, right? Like, it's just not, this is not, Nick Saban got out of college football because of the chaos of the transfer portal and all of that. And someone's going to screw up on his team. He's like, cut him. Be like, we can't do that here, coach. This is college. This is development. I don't see this ending well for anyone involved. And North Carolina's going to pay him a king's ransom to come in there, and he'll be gone in 2 years because he won't be able to handle what college football is.
Okay, here's the counterpoint. Belichick's girlfriend's the same age as a lot of the guys who got the extra year of eligibility. You're saying he can't relate to the youth? What? He's got a 24-year-old girlfriend. He can relate to the youth just fine.
That is a true statement, but I just can't imagine him in a college atmosphere. I really can't.
No.
I mean, I think you'll have a record number of portal hits the second after his team meeting.
I think the hate to see it regarding that is just that if he does that, does that happen yet? I haven't been on.
Last I saw is there was like a 900-page manual of the upheaval of the program in which he was going to have to take control.
Oh.
I was like, yeah, this is not good. I mean, I saw it was getting finalized earlier today, but we'll see.
What I hate to see is we're losing him as a media personality. I absolutely love him as a media personality. He does a podcast and he's on TV all the time and he's always got great insight and he talks about players from 20 years ago, which is big for me. And I think he's great and he'll crush people and he'll say, well, that team doesn't know what they're doing. Every time he talks about the Jets, it's great. I was going to throw out there, I hate to see it with the career of Derek Carr, which I'll just never really know what I'm supposed to do with because I don't know if his career is over. I don't know if his time in New Orleans is over, but he goes out of that game with a concussion after trying to leap over a person, which is just why. I mean, he's always been good, but never good enough. And he had this great start to his career when they got them to the playoffs at 12-4 or something. And it's just been this mid, and then it seemed like he was doing well with John Gruden, and they were going in the right direction. Then Gruden's emails, and then just like then he goes to this franchise who just could not admit. And when I talk about for the Vikings, it could have been you. Like, this could have been you if you just they admitted that the mid quarterback is not going to get you there, and the Saints just could not admit it. We got to keep trying to win. We got to go get a Derek Carr. The team was falling apart. It wasn't the team that Drew Brees had anymore. And I don't know. I don't know how this guy keeps playing. Every single year he's got career-ending or season-ending injuries happening at the end. I've always thought he was pretty good, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. And I kind of hate to see it.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys where you're like, yeah, he's probably like the 15th best quarterback in the NFL, which is maybe the worst place to be because teams are always going to look at you as a starter, but you're never going to be the guy. You know what I mean? You're always going to be like, he's good enough to start in this league. I mean, he's better than what we had, but he's not the guy. And so, yeah, it sucks. And he just keeps getting hurt. That's super unfortunate for him. I'd love to see it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers getting Chris Godwin back, right? They lose a couple guys. They start figuring their lives out as they're coming along here. They vault Atlanta in the South race here. They're probably going to host a playoff game. Baker Mayfield's playing fun football to watch. Like they're getting over there. He's fired up. He's doing the Tommy DeVito a few weeks back. I just think the vibes are high in Tampa right now. And I think that's not a team you want to see in the first round of the playoffs right now.
It might be the team that the Vikings end up seeing the first round of the playoffs, which could be really something. I think just overall kind of encapsulating things we've been talking about, the love to see it is look at this race. Look at this race. A lot of different teams could be in the Super Bowl. A lot of things could fall a certain way. If it was Pittsburgh and the Rams, I mean, would it be the most shocking thing of all time? Like there's so many combinations that could happen. The race should be really fun to track. And of course, we will track it all the way to the end. So Jeremiah, thank you as always for your insight. And we will do it again next week. Right after the game. That'll be kind of like a game recap after that against the Bears. So thank you, sir. And football.